Hi, it's Andy here at Photechvideo, and in today's video I'm accompanied by the wonderful One, who is going to be our model here for this session. So thanks very much for helping out today, One. Don't forget to check out her Instagram page, which you can see here on the screen. Sometimes flash photography can seem complicated and difficult to understand. But believe me, it really isn't that difficult. All you need to do is start with a blank canvas like an artist would, which for us is a black, completely black photo, and then begin to paint on that blank canvas with different lights. Today we're going to use two different setups. We're going to use a 2-light setup, and then we're going to add in an extra third light as well. So my main light, or my key light, is over here, and this is a 90 centimeter Octabox with a grid put onto the front. I'll explain why that grid is there in a moment. Then over here we have our fill light, or our hair light, which is going to light the hair here and some of this side of One's face. And then when we add in our third light, it's going to be this one here, which is attached to a projector which has a gobo in the middle. And a gobo is basically just a small disc which has cutouts in it, which will make a really interesting background on our wall behind One. All three of my flashes, this one, and also this one over here, are Neewer lights, and they are the Q3 series. They have a flash output of 200 watts, which is more than enough for the small studio here, and I'll be using the Neewer Q3 trigger to trigger these flashes. I can control all of them from here. One other thing that you can see on top of my camera here is the Accsoon CineView Nano. And this is a great piece of apparatus because basically it will allow us to transmit wirelessly to this telephone and also to this screen over here, which one can see to be able to monitor how she's doing, how the session is going. Also, the Accsoon CineView Nano transmits to its app, and the app allows us to record in full HD at 30 or 60 frames per minute. My camera is the Panasonic S5, which is a mirrorless camera which came out a couple of years ago, and I'm using the 50mm f1.8 prime lens by Panasonic Lumix. So as always, you'll be able to find affiliate links to all of the gear used in this video in the description section down below. If you do decide to buy gear through one of my affiliate links, the price to you will be the same, and I will receive a small commission which will help me to continue creating content for you on this channel. All right, so let's get down to business. So the first thing we want to do is to create our blank canvas. Now you have to bear in mind that for you to be able to see me now on these cameras, I have a couple of LED lights just behind the camera which illuminate the studio, because if not, you wouldn't see me, you wouldn't see the equipment, and you wouldn't see One. So we need to cancel out those lights. We need to make a completely black photo, and to do that is very, very simple. We're going to change 3 parameters in our camera. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set our ISO value, and we want the ISO to be the very, very lowest, because a higher ISO will give you more light in your photo. So we want the ISO at the minimum. On the Panasonic S5, the minimum ISO is 100. So let's set that first. And there we go, that's set at 100. The next thing we want to do is we want to change our shutter speed. We want to make our shutter speed as fast as possible so that the smallest amount of light can get into our camera sensor. Now, because we're using flashes, we need to use our flash sync speed. We can't go over the flash sync speed, because if we do, we'll see movement of the shutter in the photo. So let's set our shutter speed then to 1/200th of a second. And there we are. It's set to 1/200th of a second. So now we have minimum ISO and we have the fastest shutter speed possible. Now what we need to do, even though this is an f1.8 lens, we need to close that lens down. We don't want it to be at 1.8 because that would give the maximum amount of light. We want to get as little light in so that what we see is a black photo. So let's move that down, and we're going from 1.8 to 4 to 5. We're going to try it on f5.6 first of all. Let's try f5.6 and see what we get. And there we have it. We have a pure black photo. So f5.6 is our f-stop, 1/200th of a second is our sync speed, and 100 ISO is our ISO value. With that now, we can begin to paint. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to paint with this light over here. Remember that this is our fill light, or our hair light, our rim light, which is going to shine onto one, and we're going to lift it up a little bit so it's at a better height, and then we're going to drop it down here, and we're going to set it to this angle, and let's just see if that is looking. Yes, that's more or less right. So let's put that just a little bit more like that, and there we go. So now we have our hair light or our rim light set. The thing is, we don't know how much of that we want. So we're going to go into here, and I believe this is our C light. We're going to turn it on to manual, and at the moment it's on 1/64th. So let's see how that illuminates this part of one's face, or this part of one's face and her hair. So let's give it a try and see what we get. And we can see then that we have here a bit of light, as you can see. You've got some light coming out on your hair, which is nicely illuminated, and also on your shoulder. And I quite like that. I quite like that. Let's leave it at the moment on 1/64th, and let's go on to our next light, which is going to be our main light or our key light. So the first thing I need to do is to turn off our rim light, our fill light, our hair light over there. And I want to explain in a moment what this grid is actually doing, okay? You can see that there's a gray background in the studio. Now, I really don't want a gray background at the moment. We don't want gray, do we? No, try that again. We don't want a gray background, do we? No. We want to make it as dark as possible. So what I'm going to do is, using this grid, I'm going to be able to direct the light without directing it to the background. Okay. And at the same time, I don't want the whole of this light to be on one's face. Just if we look here, if we stand here, we can see at the moment it's not even in line with her. So I'm going to move it back just a little bit so that we can see if it's in line. Okay. Yes, now it's in line with her. So if one can see white in this section here between the grid, then that light can also see her. So can you see white? You can. Okay, fantastic. So that means, in theory, that this light is feathered more or less right. We want the background to be as dark as possible, remember. So we're going to turn this on. This is our A light, and we're going to put it on manual, and we're going to set it initially to 1/8 power. These powers mean nothing to you guys, but they do to me. 1/8 power, it goes full power, half power, quarter, an eighth, a 32nd, a 64th, and then a 128th, okay? So we're going on 1/8 power initially, and we're going to see how this looks. So let's take a test photo. Okay, so let's look at that. All right, so that's not bad at all, but I think I want a little bit more light wrapping around the front of her face. So I'm going to bring this now just a little bit forward, like this, so that it's now wrapping around a little bit more. And what we can do is we can ask one to look to that direction a little bit so that that light wraps around her more. Okay, so let's give that another try now. Again, we're on the same power. Maybe just a little bit more towards my hand one. Yeah, okay, fantastic. And give me a nice expression, a nice artistic expression. Ah, it's absolutely beautiful. Okay, so there we can see then that now the light has wrapped around her, and we've got light on her hair on this side, we've got a dark background on that side, but as you can see, the light is spilling out onto the background on the other side. There's not very much we can do about that unless we move her further forward. If we move her further forward, then I also have to move further forward, and then we lose all of the angles on the cameras, okay? So basically, we're not going to do that, but if we did want to do it, we could just move her further forward, we could move that light further forward, and by moving her further away from the wall and the light further away from the wall, obviously, because of the fall off of that light, it would mean that that wall would get darker. But we're not going to worry about that right this moment, because I think our fill light is also going to give us some background light on the wall as well. So now that we have the key light set, let's now work on the rim light as well, on the hair light, and add the two together and see what the combined effect is. So that is my light C. So I'm going to turn off there and turn on my light C on manual, and we can see that that was 1/64. So the power difference here is like 8/1632. So the key light is 3 times brighter than the hair light. So let's give it a try and see how that looks. And there we have the two lights together, and we can see that on this side, I love the way you had your hand there. I can see that the side of the hand is well lit and the other side is also illuminated. But I think I'm going to go up just a little bit more. I'm going to increase the fill light just a little bit more. I'm going to take it up to 1/32 because I think it would be nice just to have a little bit more light on that side as well. Okay, so let's give it a try. So now we have our key light at 1/8 power and we have our hair light at 1/32. So let's see now how this looks. So give us a nice look then, please. Okay, and now by increasing that light, I'm not sure if it's a little bit too much maybe, but we can see that the background now is more or less equal on both sides. We have a dark grey-green background, which we didn't have before. Remember, we had half one color and half the other. So I'm just going to take that down one little bit more, and I'm going to bring that down to 1/64 1/3, which will just give us that little bit extra power over the first one. So are we ready? Okay, and let's give it a try. Okay, so now it looks like we've got the light more or less perfect, because we can see that her hair is well illuminated and her face is also well illuminated. Okay, so now that we've got that more or less right, we're happy with that. Let's take a few photos, yeah? Okay, are you ready then? One. In fact, I'm going to drop this down just a little bit so that we get a little bit more of one there. We can take that right up to the top, and then we can see more of her. Okay, so let's take a few more photos. Ready? Okay, and in fact, I'm going to raise this just a little bit higher, the key light just a little bit higher. As you can see, my studio has a very, very low ceiling, which is not the best thing in the world. Increasing this up like this, we can get a little bit more light on her hair. So are we ready? One? Okay, so there you can see then that this light setup, it was really easy to create. We got exactly the light that we wanted. So now that we've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to add an extra light. And the extra light is this one. This is a projector. And remember, this has a gobo in it. Now, at the moment, there is no color on this gobo. So we're going to add a color. So what we've done here is added a blue filter to this, which is going to give us a nice reflection on the background with this particular gobo. Now I do have a number of these gobos. I particularly like the one that's in there, but as you can see, they come in all shapes and sizes, and you just slot them into the projector which is attached to the flash on a Bowens mount, and Bob's your uncle. So what we're going to do now then is we're going to add our third light into the mix. So our third light then is our B, and we're going to put that on full power, because on full power it will give us a nice blue background in theory. Haven't tried it, so let's give it a try right now. Okay, so here we go. And look at that. Now we can see then that the light is actually reflecting on one as well. So what we need to do now is we need to move either the projector or one. So what we're going to do is we're going to move one forward, and I'm also going to move this light forward and adjust. So if you can just move a little bit more there, for example, one, thank you very much. And let's move this as well. You're gonna have to drop it a little bit because it's hitting the ceiling. Okay, there we go. And also we need to change the position of this one here to about there. In theory, we haven't really moved any distances from lights. So in theory, we should be okay, and we should be able to have more or less the same exposure. So I'm just going to bring this up a little bit as well, so that we have some air, some space above one's head. And let's move this just a little bit more over here, so that it's completely feathered. So we want the back of the light to be in line with one's head. Okay, so here we go again. Let's see if this time the projector is set correctly and it doesn't shine on one. Okay, so we still have a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move the projector so that it's no longer on one. So let's give it a try now and see how that is. Okay, so that's great, but as you can see, it's no longer on one, but as you can see, it's also no longer on that side of the wall. How are we going to solve that? Very simply, we're just going to move this again and give it another try. And there we have it. The only thing that's wrong now that I can see is that we need to move the hair light just a little bit more to the front, because now it's not shining where we want it to. So I think right there is where we need it. And let's give it one more try. What do you think about that? Nice, yeah, okay. So we like it, we're happy with that, we love the background. Now look at that background. You see, just by moving away a little bit, we have now created that little bit of separation from the wall, and therefore we have a black background, or almost black, and the blue highlights from the projector. Okay, so when you're ready, let's move this over here and let's take some photos. Are you ready? You choose the poses, I'll push the button, okay? Okay, so you can see what's happening here. So your hands are creating a shadow. So what we're going to do, because one is very expressive and her hands are a really important part of her modeling. So what we're going to do now, and you'll see that her nails, show us your nails there, one. Yeah, look at those nails. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move again that rim light so that her hands don't affect her. So we're going to bring the rim light forward a bit. Let's bring it over here. We don't want it to interfere with the projector, but we do want it to illuminate this side. So let's see what that looks like. Now the great thing about a studio is literally you can just move things around. You can move your lights around, you can move your camera around, you can move your model around. Best to move the gear rather than keep moving the model. But remember, all is possible. Remember that separation. So let's just see if this is actually shining on one. Yes, it is. Okay, so let's give it a try now and see if the background light is not clicking onto the hair light. Are we ready? There we go. And I think we're there, yeah? Okay, so shall we take some photos? Okay, even if you want to move a little bit that way, just a little bit, that's fine, okay? And let's go. Okay, and I'm also going to bring the key light a little bit further over here so that it's wrapping more around her, because I can see that we have dark areas on some of the photos. So there you have it. It really is not difficult to set up your flashes in a room, in your studio, and control them, as long as you begin, first of all, with a completely black photo, and then add the different lights to be able to paint onto that blank canvas. Now, you may have realized that in this video, I did not use a light meter. I do have a light meter, it's down there, but quite honestly, it really isn't necessary, because with today's digital photography, all your photos are free, and it means that all we need to do is just take a test, we like it, take a test, add a bit more light, take a bit more light away, and just go one by one by one until you've built up the whole look of the photo that you want, with the intensity of light in the places that you want. So I hope you found this video useful and possibly interesting. Thanks to the wonderful one here, she did an excellent job, and I hope to see her again in another one of our videos. Remember, check out her Instagram page, which is down here on the screen. Now, you probably know, but subscribing to a YouTube channel is completely free for you, and it helps the channel to grow. So if you liked this video, or if you found it interesting or useful, please click on the like button, subscribe to my channel, and ring on that notification bell to be notified every time a new video drops on my channel. So until the next time, this is Andy at Photechvideo signing off. Take care and be safe.